Hello, good morning. Wow, there's a lot more people in here
Morning.
normally. I mean, a lot less people.
He saw the pictures.
All right, good morning, everyone. How are y'all doing today?
Good.
Yay, thank you very much. Yeah, sorry, one sec. All right, I'm back. Good morning. I hope y'all had a great weekend and a great week. Don't forget to update your name with the acronym of the organization that you represent. So the way Christelle has DXN next to hers, that's perfect. Don't forget to do that so we can take your attendance if you are a representative for a student organization. Without further ado, I shall begin my presentation. Hold up. Okay. Hello, everyone. First up, our fund request balance is still 22,500, as you might have guessed. Um, but before, one of the most important things I want to talk about today is how we haven't been able to meet quorum lately. So we know that we need to pass constitutional amendments. So our plan is, and please, Patrick and Erica, feel free to jump in if I'm butchering this explanation. But our plan is so as y'all may know, we've had constitutional amendments on the floor for over a month now. Kind of in the beginning of this semester, I presented them and they've been on the floor since then, and we've been tabling them every single week. So, what we decided might work is to open a voting ballot on Get Involved from 11:30 to 12:30, not today, but next week. So that's March 9th, the next SGA meeting. We will be voting on our constitutional amendment. So we'll provide the link in the chat, send the link out. There's one vote per registered student organization. if we get enough votes in total to reach quorum, then that constitutional amendment will either be officially passed or officially not passed. We'll accept that as the official vote. But let's say we only get 15 votes. We are not meeting quorum, even with the number of people voting, then we'll be unable to move forward using that avenue. Yes, Alina.
To remind everyone, when we say that one person gets to vote, we are only giving the primary officer of the group the ability to vote. So not just anyone from your group can vote, only the primary officer. We are doing this as a trial run, so that's why we wanted to be conscientious about that. So just remind your primary officer to vote for that, whatever we are voting for next week.
Yeah, so if all this stuff works out, then we can potentially make changes like adding an emergency clause to the Constitution for situations like now where we are in a pandemic and are not meeting quorum. But if this goes well, then we would have to put our next constitutional amendment on the floor for 30 days and then repeat the same voting process. Keep in mind that voting will only be open for 1 hour, one vote per registered student organization, and that vote goes to your primary officer that is registered on Get Involved. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Senators, we will be making new amendments. So just be ready. All right. And the ballots officially closed last night for our vice president administration. So everybody, please welcome Abram, our new VP admin. Woo.
Hey guys, thank you for voting for me. And I know it's the only person for you guys to vote. It's either that or it's not voting at all. But I promise you that I'll do my best to help the student body. And thank you.
Okay, yeah, everyone's saying congratulations. Yeah, welcome to the team, Abram. We're excited to have you. And hopefully we can improve many things. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much where I was going with the constitutional amendment thing. I can go ahead and review the amendments that were on the floor that you'll be voting on next week if you guys would like. Okay, I'll actually just do that. I don't care if you want it or not. I'm doing it. Okay. Let's see. Give me a moment, please. All right. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Can y'all see this? Okay, so these are the constitutional amendments that have been on the floor since January, like the first SGA meeting that we had. Okay. And so these are the first few amendments that we wanted to do. So the first one here is basically in the beginning of the Constitution where it talks about requirements for the Executive Council. Right now, what is currently listed in the Constitution, it says that you must have a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher at the time of election. Unfortunately, that actually excludes a lot of our students from being in or being a part of the EC, because some students, for example, maybe they've done their undergrad here and now they're doing their graduate program and that is still affecting their GPA, or they haven't gone to school in 5 years and their freshman GPA is still affecting them. There's so many different situations of how your GPA can be below 3.0, and you can still be worthy of being on the executive council. So we want to change it to must be in good academic standing with the University of Houston Clear Lake to allow some more flexibility with students. Again, the rationale is listed here. If anybody wants a copy of this, I'm 99% sure it's on Get Involved, but if it's not, I can put it up there after this meeting. Yeah, so helps us cast a wider net, and further, we currently have 3 out of 4 vacancies in our executive council, which was the case when I wrote this, but now we only have 1 vacancy. Woo, improvement. But it'll allow more students to qualify and apply. Also, the second amendment that we're also going to be voting on, all student government association executive council members must be currently, okay, this is the same exact sentence, except we want to change now, instead of the GPA part, we want to adjust the second part of the sentence, which is that they must be an officially designated organization representative of a recognized UHC organization. I honestly already don't do that, and it's a lot of work. Thank you, Dr. Hart. It's a lot of work, and I think this position on its own is very time consuming. You're technically an employee of the university, so I just think it's a bit much to also be a representative for a student organization. But again, you are free to vote yay or nay. Ballots will be open again 11:30 to 12:30. SGA meeting time next week, March 9th. All right. That's that. Are there any questions about constitutional amendment, quorum, this new method that we're trying for our voting? Any questions? Any clarification points?
I have a question about Prop 2.
Yes.
So they don't have to be actively in a registered student org as a rep. Do they have to have like served in a student org for a semester or two as a prereq or what?
Oh, that's not a requirement anywhere in the Constitution. The only thing that it says already right now is just pretty much the GPA requirement and the being the organization rep. Those are the two like conditions to being an EC now. But that makes sense, you know, having somebody be in an organization for a while before doing SGA probably is a good idea, and I would love to add that, but first
One thing at a time.
first we need to see if these changes are even possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Who is the primary representative that is voting? Is it the org's SGA rep or the president? It is, thank you, Marissa, that is a great question. It is the primary officer that is listed on Get Involved for your registered student organization. So the president in this case.
Oh, I was looking at the Get Involved page for SGA and I am not seeing the propositions.
Oh, okay, perfect. Let me upload that. Alina, can you do that right now? Okay, thanks. But yeah, okay, so hopefully we'll have it up by the end of this meeting. All right, any further questions on quorum? Hopefully this works. Please, guys, I am here, hands crossed, begging y'all, please vote and get other organization representatives to vote, because at this point we're extending it to where you don't even have to be at the meeting, you just have to press a button. So please help us make this first change, because once we get the ball rolling, we can start continuously making changes and add an emergency clause, so that way we don't have to do all of this or meet quorum every single time we want to do something. So please help out. Come on now. Anyways, yay, y'all are getting a rep this weekend. Woo. Nice. Did you say it will only be up for 1 hour? Yes, the SGA meeting time, which is 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Tuesday, March 9th. I will type that. Okay. Oh, I sent it privately to someone. Okay. That is when we will be voting. If there are any further questions, please feel free to type in the chat or ask during open forum. Okay, back to our presentation. All right. Now we have Josephat from Orientation and New Student Programs. I don't know if they are on this call.
So Hiba, I do not see Joe here, and I messaged him and he didn't get back to me, but I guess I will talk for orientation really quick. Fun fact, me and Hiba were actually orientation leaders together. So
We were. Fun fact, Derek is a firefighter. That's an actual fun fact.
Okay. So basically, if you're wanting to be an orientation leader, the Orientation and New Student Programs is recruiting at the moment. So they are doing virtual sessions. So it's a quick Zoom call that you can hop in and get some more information about what being an orientation leader is, kind of what your duties are, what you could expect in the training, because you do have to go to training. It is a paid position. So if you're looking for a job over the summer, that is a thing to do. So all the information is in Get Involved, but I will link all their stuff into the chat. So if you want to send it out to your student orgs, if they want to look at becoming an orientation leader and get a summer job, then that is a great opportunity.
It's also a great opportunity to familiarize yourself with things on campus. It's almost like your very own orientation in some ways, because you learn about the 1,000,010 resources on campus that we have that you might not even have thought of. You also learn weird fun facts about the school, like the fact that the Bayou building was going to be a mall if it didn't work out as a school, which is why it looks like that. Or the fact that like when they were trying to find the school or like where they were going to do it, it was initially a giant pond. And the guy who, what's his name, Newman, the person who our library is named after, fell over in the pond. And that's now our school.
There's like horror stories, right?
Oh yeah, there's
about a dog and like something about that, but I didn't.
No, there's actually this creepy story of somebody who apparently like died on campus, and it was like in the 80s or something, and like they found like a bunch of his stuff in the middle of the forest where, so before the STEM building and campus rec was there, it used to just be trees. And so when they were clearing it out to build those, they found like a bunch of his stuff and like letters that he wrote, and it was anyways creepy stuff. But yeah, so orientation school, also you get to meet new students, and you get to convince them to come to UHCL, which is always a fun thing, right? Go Hawks. Yeah, it is spooky, and it's definitely spookier. I'm definitely messing up the story, but if I remember it, I will bring it up.
But yes, all of their training events and their recruiting events are in Get Involved. So if you need some more information, most definitely look over there. But I will have Joe, I'll reach out to Joe to see if he can come in next week. That way he actually works in orientation. So, and I actually, wanted to rep today, so I even wore my orientation pullover. But yes, you should be an orientation leader.
Yeah, definitely don't stay late in the Bayou building. I feel like that place is definitely a little creepy or slightly haunted, maybe. Anyways, Alina Thomas.
Thanks for the warning, guys. Let me just quickly share my screen. All right. So I just wanted to quickly announce the Office of Student Involvement and Leadership will be hosting the big event on April 10th from 7:45 a.m. to 2 p.m. Everyone can sign up. The link is available on Get Involved. The deadline to sign up is April 2nd, so you can click right over here and you'll get access to the form. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at serve@uhcl.edu if you have any questions. That's about it. Thank you very much.
That was so fast.
Oh, thank you.
No. Like, that was a lot quicker than I expected. I just took a sip of my coffee. Okay. But yes, big event, April 10th. April 10th. Any questions? Email serve@uhcl.edu. All right, open forum. Any questions? I'm gonna stop the singing. I'm so sorry. Any questions? What's taking so long to reopen Hunter Hall to residents? Well, we've got Chief Miller on the call and Dr. Hart and maybe other people from Residence Life.
Here, I can give the quick version. Is of all of the systems that were fried, the HVAC AC heating system was the most expansive damage, in that each of the units require a certain motherboard. Long story short, there's not enough motherboards available in the immediate future to put everything back online. So they're working floor by floor with what they have. So the delay is as a result of our FMC or someone dragging their feet. There's a bunch of moving parts that are beyond their control that they're having to manage to get things going. As far as the fire system's back up. The access control things have been temporarily fixed to where all rooms have access control. Let's see, I said fire system. What was the other one? Fire system, HVAC, we said there's
Has the generator been moved, Chief?
That's it. That's it. I don't know the answer to the generator. If it hasn't, it will be. So that'll be a non-issue when everything comes back online. And then I know that the conversations are occurring about the installation of a permanent generator where these things just won't have a problem. One of the side effects of the cold that we discovered that we couldn't have anticipated, because this nature of freeze has never occurred, is that the cold itself affected the other building's generators to the point that they did not start when they were supposed to. So those are all things that are being looked into as preventative measures. In the event in 100 years this happens again, it'll be addressed. And if you are on campus and you're trying to access certain buildings and like STEM and rec, Arbor and all that, for whatever reason, the electricity, the way it flowed onto campus and surged during the initial freeze, burned out a lot of our access control panels. So those have all been identified, and we're in the process of replacing those. So if you're trying to scan in somewhere and it doesn't work, you can call it into us, but we probably already know about it.
Did they go out in 2011?
Did they go out in 2011?
I don't know the context to that question, Alyssa, if you want to add some details.
I was asking about the generators because, like, whenever I see stuff about legislation about weatherization and stuff at the state level, I saw that we had in 2000. Sorry, my alarm. I have so many alarms that are going off. I saw stuff that was saying that we had a similar freeze in 2011. I wasn't here. I was in high school, not paying attention to the news, so
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Well, to answer your question, I don't know. I don't know what the effects of the 2011 weather was on the campus as it existed then. I know that the STEM building, Hunter Hall, the rec center, none of that was here. So I think your primary buildings at the time were Bayou, the Arbors, and Delta. And no one has mentioned to me that they had problems. What would that be? 10 years ago? But the main building was Bayou. That's where the central hub of all things was. So,
Chief,
yes.
I just wanted to say you hit the nail right on the head. We didn't have these buildings back in 2011, so this was unfortunately our first trial run at this type of weather. So yeah.
Yeah, and while it's inconvenient when we get hit with things like hurricanes and these, they're calling it snowvid or the ice apocalypse, it brings to bear your weak points, which once they're identified, we move to address them so that if something happens in the future, it'll be different weak points now that weren't identified in this round. So we'll always be upgrading and making things better. So the plans exist, the moving forward with the repairs exists, and the making our infrastructure more robust for preventative purposes, those plans exist. So it's going to take a second to get us in.
So moving forward, there's a few additional questions. Should students be looking for different housing off or on campus this summer or fall? And is there an estimate as to when Hunter Hall will reopen?
So I can address that question right there. No, absolutely not. The one thing I will say is I know a lot of students had asked, well, what was the delay in getting the students out? There's such a great community over in Hunter Hall, believe it or not. Even when we lost heat and power and some of the other things, the students didn't want to leave because they really enjoyed their community. And it just got to a point where we made the decision for safety that we were going to move those students who were interested over to the Hilton. I will say this, of every student in Hunter Hall, we gave them the option of either moving over to the Hilton or if they wanted to, find other accommodations, they could do so. But when you live in a residence hall, unlike living in an apartment off campus, we're going to support our students and we're going to provide you with a place to stay. And so as we navigate through this process, we will guarantee all of our students a bed. It may not necessarily be in Hunter Hall, it may be in the Hilton. We're looking at alternate housing if we can't have access to the residence hall. But we don't expect this to last past the spring semester. So no matter what options we choose, we plan on having Hunter Hall back in operational at the very latest toward the end of the semester. So there's no need to find additional housing.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Dr. Hart, for your response.
Yeah, but I guess I have just one question.
Mhm.
Quick. So I know when we met last week with Chief Miller, Dean Urquida, we met with Al Black and Matt Perry. They were talking about the Hilton and as it was going to be the temporary Band-Aid for it. And which it sounds like based off Chief Miller, that it's going to be a long-term maintenance problem, that they were going to look at possibly going to UH Maine and using some of their dorms. Is there an update on that, or are they looking at Hilton being a little bit more of a long-term solution?
Right now, we are only looking at the Hilton for one more week. And we feel that by the end of this week, we will have a definitive answer on whether or not we will be able to move students back into Hunter Hall within the next couple of weeks, or we do need to look at a more long-term solution using the main campus. I'm happy to report that if we need to use the main campus, our colleagues at the main campus have identified space in their newest residence hall. So all Hunter Hall residents would be able to live on the same floor in the exact same space. They would provide the same amenities, parking, a meal plan that our Hunter Hall residents, have available to them here on our campus. But we're really hoping that we don't need to go that route. So right now it's in the hands of the contractors and those folks who are a lot smarter than I am when it comes to HVAC issues and the technical aspects to tell us one way or the other whether we can get those residents back in. But Derek, I would be surprised if we didn't have a definitive answer by Monday. So I'm no more than 6 days, one way or the other.
So are there any further questions regarding Hunter Hall or the residence hall at all before we move on? For Dr. Hart, were the students in the apartments reached out to? They lost power and water. I know they are under the care of another facility, but they was concerned because they saw Arbor lights. They were concerned because they saw Arbor lights.
Yeah, absolutely. So unfortunately, if you live in an apartment off campus, those students obviously have access to support through the Office of Student Advocacy, formerly known as the SAC, and the Dean of Students Office. And those students did reach out to us. Several of those students took advantage of the Hawk Pantry for food issues and making requests through the Hawk emergency funds. The only apartment complex that we have an official relationship with, we did reach out to those residents and their management, and they did not request any special assistance or anything like that. But to answer your question directly, we did reach out to those that particular apartment complex and made our resources available on the campus to all of our students, whether they live on campus or off campus.
Dr. Hart, I have a quick question. For people who want to do like guest housing, like for one day you could pay like what, $30 or $40. How's that work out?
That is a great question. Matt Perry, who's our director of housing and residence life, actually did establish a guest housing program and payments. I don't want to speak on the specifics of that because of COVID. There may be some changes, but just shoot an email to Matthew Perry, and he will definitely be able to answer those questions and provide rates.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And there was a question from Roberto. Sorry, got lost a little bit. How big of a commitment is being an orientation leader? Okay, so it is like okay, so like there's normally like an orientation like maybe every other week, I would say, and it's normally 2 days in a row is the orientation. I don't know what orientation commitment looks like now that we are in the middle of a pandemic and stuff is online and orientation is online now. So I think it looks very different now than it did for us, where we had to like set up tie-dye and all those things. So I think that question is probably best suited for maybe an orientation representative. Hopefully we have one at the next meeting, but let me know if you need help answering any other questions. At the bottom of their page is the link to the application. Under the documents in the application is more information on the duties and responsibility. Way better response than I gave. Good job, Derek. Anything else? Any further questions for open forum? ONSP is unsure as of 2 weeks ago. I normally meeting with ONSP twice a month. All right. Status on graduation. My status or regular status? Graduation.
I think is Mr. Cardenas still on the graduation committee? If he could give an update on that.
Yes, actually I am. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate that. So yes, as we continue to navigate through this spring semester and still having to cope with a lot of the COVID-19 challenges, we are going to move forward with having a virtual ceremony for the spring semester in hopes that as we move to fall and then following spring semester, we can then start to move towards a more in-person presence as a university for commencement programming.
Okay. Any further questions regarding anything at all? This is the final opportunity to ask questions about the voting that will take place next week. For those of y'all who are organization representatives, please be sure to pass this message along to all of your other organization rep friends. We need y'all to vote and make sure that your primary officer is aware that they will be expected to vote on March 9th from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Please, I will be really sad if y'all forget. Thank you. Anyways, I think that pretty much adjourns this meeting. If there are any further questions, feel free to email us. The next virtual SGA meeting will be held on March 9th, 2021. Please be present no later than 11:20 a.m. to be let into the session so we can begin promptly at 11:30 a.m. To schedule agenda time, i.e. student organization announcements, staff and university office announcements, etc., a completed request form must be submitted on the SGA website by 12 o'clock noon on Wednesday, March 3rd, tomorrow, 2021. Online forms are available on www.uhcl.edu. The quote of the day is, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character. That is the true goal of education." Martin Luther King Jr. The time is 12:01 and this meeting is adjourned. Yeah, I'm gonna really stop the singing. I'm sorry. It's coming back. Love you, Dr. Hart. Of course. Bye, everyone.